Super Dope Plus Ultra. My name is Kyle. Thank you for checking this out. So today we're going to be talking about episode 165 of My Hero Academia. Wrench It Open, IZUKU Midoriya. What are we wrenching open? A heart, a mind, some psyche. Some psyche or the psyche? Who cares? I didn't do the last two episodes. It's been a busy couple of weeks, but I did just want to touch on them super briefly. 163, what did I tell you was going to happen? They were going to rewind all for one down to a fucking baby. And they didn't end up snapping his neck or anything, but he does rewind out of existence. So that's cool. I did have the question come into my mind, like, is he going to reappear at some point in the future? Like, is his existence just like done, or is some time going to pass and it's going to happen again? I don't know. 164, interesting concept of an episode, and really didn't think this was the way that they were going to go with it, but I'm kind of glad that they are, because it's given us the vehicle to wrap up a lot of different storylines and get everybody on the same page very quickly in terms of, audience awareness of everybody, all cards up on the table. So 164, they accidentally give away Danger Sense, where it's absorbed by Shigaraki. Now we know that we can get our quirks, like I'm Deku Midoriya. Deku can get his quirks into Shigaraki and to the psyche of Shigaraki, and all for one, what lives within him now. So we're taking the fight to the inside. 165. So I took a bunch of notes yesterday. I have to say, genuinely, I think this might be one of my favorite episodes in My Hero Academia. Having a really tough time thinking of one other solo standalone episode that hits as hard as this one. And I think it does so many, not so many, I think it does three really interesting things. And honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, the first two of the three weren't even that interesting, but they're really satisfying. So let me grab the synopsis here and we'll talk briefly about my first favorite thing about this episode, okay? So 165, Wrench It Open, IZUKU Midoriya. Using this new form, meaning a form where he is basically using Black Whip to be able to continue to move very quickly after giving up Gear Shift in the last episode. It's got this crazy new form. Very scary. It's I don't know. I'll talk about it at the end of the episode, but when you see this Deku shift into the old Deku from like seasons 1 and 2 later in the episode, it's very jarring. Using this new form, Deku goes on the offensive, planning to get close enough to transfer Gear Shift into Shigaraki. Meanwhile, the villain finds himself unnerved by Deku's resiliency, and now he's continued to scheme despite his pain. After preventing another spread of decay, Deku uses Smokescreen and Black Whip with blood on it to trick Shigaraki in the quirk search, allowing him to get up close. Okay. A part of me hates how these synopses are written out. It's like effective in terms of minimal words, but Deku is now going to try to get Gear Shift into Shigaraki, which I thought he did in the last episode. I thought the next one to try to go was going to be Smokescreen, wasn't it? Either way, Deku's in a tremendous amount of pain. Oh, it's Danger Sense is actually the one that went into him in the last episode. So now we're trying to get Gear Shift into him, right? So Deku is in so much pain and still continuing to move. And he keeps talking about how he's in so much pain, he's ready to pass out at any moment. Despite all that, and despite losing Danger Sense, one of his most valuable quirks in this fight, he still has the, I don't know if frame of mind's the right word, or what, I don't know what the right word even is. Who cares what the right word is? What I'm trying to say is it's fucking cool, okay? That he can still out-strategize Shigaraki, and this is my first big favorite part of the episode. So there's three things in this episode that really make me enjoy it. This first one here is this battle. This is some intense battle anime going on. And I don't know how they do the nominations for anime awards every year, but I would be hard pressed to think that this episode, or this fight largely, I'd be hard pressed to think that it won't be a nominee at a minimum this year. I realize I don't watch a ton of other anime, but this is some crazy shit. And it's the culmination of 7 previous seasons, 100 and whatever, 60 plus episodes now. And it's all coming together so beautifully. And the action piece of it here, Deku basically just uses a smokescreen to confuse Shigaraki. And little do you know, he is pulling up chunks of the earth to be able to spread or stop the spread of decay from Shigaraki. So instead of him touching the earth and touching part of the continent and rotting all of Japan, Deku whips a huge, tremendous chunk of earth at him. And he's like, all right, we're fighting here right now. And he continues to try to do that. That type of strategy alone is amazing. It's remarkable. It's fun to see. But also in a lot of other animes, this might be the full episode. That might be it. You get a lot of filler stuff of them going to back and forth. I'm mostly thinking of stuff like Dragon Ball Z, let's be real, like some peak Frieza filler stuff. But in some animes, that's the whole episode. You see Deku's gonna fucking die from overexhaustion from too much pain. And then the end of the episode happens and it's like, actually, I still got some strategies. Smokescreen, here's a chunk of earth. Good luck, you piece of shit. But it goes to a completely other different direction. He out-strategizes and he's going to try to sneak attack him by putting the DNA of, is it the second? Yeah, I think second, I'm terrible at all these names. I did write down some of the other names for later in the episode to make comments about, but I forget what second's name is. He puts the DNA of second on Gran Torino's cape that he's been flying around with. Searches for where Midoriya is, but he takes the gamble and says, if it's going to lock on me, it'll probably lock on previous successors as well. Took that gamble, it pays off. So he sees the cape first, and then Deku like launches at him to hide basically behind the cape, and then hit him with another big punch. The Deku voice acting is probably, I'm not going to say my favorite, but it's one of the most notable things in this season to me. And they've been doing it gradually. All right. This isn't like he just went from all the way up here in terms of his register and now he's back down here and he's pissed. It's been gradual over the seasons, but like there are times where that dude is speaking and I'm like, who the fuck is even talking right now? Because it's mostly just inner monologue. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that's Midoriya Izuku. It's not a evil villain, monologuing off screen. So this first, I don't even know, 4 or 5 minutes of this episode, it's so densely packed. And in a lot of other animes, that would be an entire episode. In this one, it's only the first 20, 25% of it. Let's see, where did I leave off in reading this thing? Let's hope it goes well from here. Shigaraki instinctively starts regrowing his defensive fingers to protect himself, but Deku manages to land a direct punch, transferring Kudo and Gear Shift into the villain's body, destroying the quirk and hitting the scar in the soul. So he realizes all these extra fingers, which, I don't know, that's like some body horror shit, right? I'm not freaked out by hands. I look at them as like a defensive thing. And he says basically as much, like it's like another shield. It's like fingernails or grime. I'm remembering a lot about this episode that I didn't think to remember from yesterday. I watched it more or less twice. Like I rewound a ton of parts, wrote down quotes, but again, continuation on the whole. We need to directly connect to this dude's soul. And the only way we can transfer One for All to him is to hit him in the scar and have it basically immediately enter into his DNA with some blood on Deku's hands, supposedly. So as Deku and Shigaraki's memories begin to overlap due to One for All and All for One's assimilation, Deku goes for another transfer. However, only N and Smokescreen break through, with Shigaraki rejecting the rest. Okay. This memories combined thing. Okay, so we have like some absolute peak top tier anime battle stuff in the first few minutes, in my opinion at least. And then you get such an interesting concept where their memories are combining, which makes all the sense in the world narratively. Like Deku's previous holders of All for One, or One for All, excuse me, they're now infecting, for lack of a better word, Shigaraki's psyche. And it would make sense for their memories, or Deku's memories, I should say, and Shigaraki's memories to start to kind of interconnect or become apparent to one another. Like they're inside each other's heads now, very literally. I guess Deku's more in his head more than anything, but since Deku's there, the memories of both people are now being shown to one another. What an interesting fucking concept this was to me. Both like the idea generally, but also how they pull it off visually in this episode and how it becomes, well, at first at least, like the background of the battle. Like Deku and Shigaraki are still doing their thing. And then Deku looks up and he sees this giant fucking memory in the sky playing of little Tenko Shimura holding hands with All For One and walking away. And then you get a lot of stuff from the USJ, right? From Deku's perspective and some of the things he heard from people like Asui, Todoroki, you know, it's my power. Goddamn right, hot cold boy. You see Shigaraki's memories of Dabi and Toga and Spinner all first joining the League of Villains. I don't want to say that it's like, it's not satisfying payoffs. They're not payoffs. I just think it's cool that both of them, both Shigaraki and Deku, the memories that come to the forefront for them are presumably things that keep them motivated, right? So it's the votes of confidence that they've gotten from their friends of the past. Shigaraki, when he meets Dabi and Toga, and then Spinner a little bit later on, they all come to him because they're like, hey, man, we've heard about the League of Villains. That's cool. We heard you're down with Stain. Also cool. We like both those things. Let's go change the world or whatever. Deku, same kind of deal. Todoroki, Asui, I think Mineta is in there as well, showing his appreciation. It's just interesting that the first memory is for them to become visible to one another. It's like where some of their determination is presumably derived from, the confidence that other people have in them. And I don't know, what's the right way to say it? The debt or the obligation that they feel to those people to not fail. So love that. Not only just the concept, again, the concept is really cool. The visualization of it is cool. The way they chose to use it, pretty fucking cool. And what it really does is, and I'm actually really thankful, what I don't remember is, in a lot of cases, I remember like big chunks, like broad swaths of each character's story individually, right? What I forget all the time is, does Deku know that? Does Nana Shimura know that? Does All Might know that? What parts might they know? And that, fortunately, lets me turn my brain off in that respect. And it's like, all right, cards up. Everyone can see what's on the table. Let's, kind of all understand where everyone is coming from. And I feel like that was a really effective way or a really effective vehicle to let that be the case too. Like it's not just the audience who knows what the stakes are. The heroes know, or I should say Deku knows, Shigaraki knows. It's a way to, I don't know, like increase the stakes, because what the stakes are is like the world's going to end. So it's probably not that, but the emotional stakes are lifted or risen. Risen? He has come, he has risen, Christ will rise again. That's some fucking Catholic words I just popped out on y'all. Popped out? Anyway, really a big fan of this having been the way in which they used it. But then also the whole transferring of quirks over to them. Everyone goes by the second time they try it, except Nana Shimura. But I think my favorite thing is they do have this little break of all the former success or the former holders, or I don't even know what the fuck you call those people. What's their real name? Previous holders. They all like have this monologue. I forget who says it. Maybe it's N. Maybe it's the dude with gear shift. I forget. But they're like, this is what it was all building towards. All of us accumulating our powers and stockpiling and blah, blah, blah. And now it was all for this kid, Deku is what he says or means, for this kid to use it. The kid with no quirk. I mean, Toshinori didn't have a quirk either. Yeah, sure. But Toshinori was all brawn, dog. I love, great mentality, but he did not have the brain or the 78 notebooks full of notes on other heroes and villains and their quirks and what they can or can't do. The analytical little nerd Deku once he's entrusted with all that power, he's the only one who knows how to properly use it to give them a fighting chance of getting out of this. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to tell y'all, hey kids, fucking stay in school. Don't give up. All right, so N goes through, everyone else is shut out. As we continue to see some of the other memories, we see a shot of little Tenko walking with All For One. I saw that. Oh, there's a shot of a dog. The dog. Shout out to Victor O'Roman and your little boy. I know what this dog scene did to your little boy, man. I'm sorry for that. Victor's son cries so much whenever he sees, whenever any animal is hurt in, television, fiction, whatever. But he had a tough time with that Shigaraki intro episode, which I think I should try to, let me write it down here. I should link that in the comments. I forget exactly what the episode is called. I forget which feed it's on, but I can probably figure it out and put a link in the show notes. So if you do want to listen to the original episode, I think it's me and Kelly breaking down, I think it's called Tenko Shimura Origin. And I think it's in the 4th or 5th season. It's fucking sad, man. But seeing that shot of it, right? Deku's response to noticing that we're getting closer to where his real emotional damage started. Emotional damage. It's him as a child in this home. And he says the phrase, "This wasn't for nothing. I'll keep trying over and over." And it speaks to, I think, the inclination. Again, maybe there was a specific time when he found out one of these memories, but I think it speaks to the inclination Deku has always had about not only Tenko or Shigaraki or whatever the fuck I'm calling him for the next 5 minutes, but he had the understanding that his evil came from a place of hurt, right? And because of that, his overall mentality as a hero is, I'm going to help all. I'm going to continue to try to help you. Smile, all that nonsense. So the fact that they've now gotten to this point in his memory banks that are combining with Deku's, that he can see all this terrible, traumatic childhood shit happening to him. Deku's like, all right, dude, at least I know that I am on the right path, right? Very, very important. Meanwhile, a drone piloted by Mei records the battle, allowing it to be broadcast by La Brava. A worried Eri wants to help him, Deku, in some way, and is comforted by Kota. Okay. This is the third part of the equation and what makes this one of my favorite episodes of this season. Okay, so just to recap, the first 2 parts. One of the most epic anime battles I've seen in a long, long time. 2, this interesting concept of their memories combining and the visual piece that comes with it. And then 3, and this one, isn't really any kind of mind breaker in itself, but this episode has so many tremendous, impactful cameos. Not only is it cool to see these people again, but the reason they're brought in, it's impactful. It makes sense for the narrative. I think kind of answers some questions, doesn't it? That you might not have had immediately, but hasn't everybody since season 4 asked themselves, why doesn't Eri just ride around on Deku's back? So that way he'd be the strongest hero of all time, all the time. But let's talk about him in order first, right? So Mei Hatsume, I kind of assumed she was kicking around in the background, working on some kind of weapons technology or whatever. It turns out she's the lady who's operating the equipment, so that way we can all continue to watch this shit on the television. And La Brava is helping broadcast out to people for the broadcast. I think I said it about La Brava in the last episode. La Brava and Gentle Criminal feels like a very fun but filler-ish and non-consequential arc. And I think it's cool just to see that she's still chipping in, and her boyfriend, Gentle Criminal, who's presumably at least like 25 years her senior, but probably not. And he just looks old and she just looks young, but there is an age gap, but it's not problematic because it's Japan. It is cool to see these characters pop up occasionally. Now, the most impactful cameo, honestly, I feel like it could go either way, but the Eri Kota cameos, very cool. Eri basically wants to go help. She's ready to throw down. She just takes off. She's just going to go there. And I forget the name of the teacher who is watching them, but his quirk is he can make like infinite clones of himself, kind of like Twice, but I'm not sure if they're real clones. So maybe that's why Twice has the up on that guy. He's scary looking, black face, green eyes. I would look up his name, but honestly, I'm talking too much. So he cuts her off and he's like, yo, you can't go there. It's a few hundred kilometers away. We don't have transportation to get you there. You don't even have any real rewind power that you'd be able to use. So I feel like they put that in for, I don't know, at least the explanation of like Infinite Deku 1001 ain't coming to save the day with Eerie strapped to his back, which cool. It would be a real shock or a shame that if that were to be how they choose to fight him at the end of this, because we already saw that ending at the end of season 4, I think, wouldn't make all that much sense. But to see her and Kota interact, which I'm pretty sure it's not the first time. I think you do see her and Kota in the UA stronghold at a certain point last season or the season before. Who the fuck can remember? I can't even remember last week most of the time. I can't remember 6 months ago. I cannot remember one episode of anime from 3.5 years ago. Just can't do it. Mine's not there. But to see them reunite for a second while Erie's in this emotional distress and Kota, a dude who is a couple of years her senior, he's a fucking child, let's be real. But he's probably like a year or two older than her at least. He looks older. Which one of my favorite things about this show, especially like looking at the Deku designs in this episode, Kota is so little when you see him when Deku saves him in the woods in season 3. He's such a little baby. And now he looks like he's, no, you're not quite in his, teenage years, but prepubescent, I think is the term. So he sees Eerie in this emotional distress and he just comes over and her hands are out and whatever. She's like, what can I do? And Kota grabs her hand. He says to her, Mr. Deku was quick to cry. I'm a crybaby too. So if he's doing his best, I feel I need to do something too. He squeezes her hand and attempts to comfort her. If that ain't the whole fucking moral of this goddamn 160 plus episode anime, I don't know what the fuck is. Could it be broken down any more simply than those just few sentences? Deku is quick to cry. I'm a crybaby too. So you, a scared no. We're just going to look at this from the Kota perspective here. You, a scared defenseless kid who can't really do all that much. You see this other guy who, you once knew to be like this scared crybaby, but you still see him step up to try to do his best every goddamn day. And now he's doing it on, international television, fighting off Shigaraki in front of the entire world. He's the strongest in the world right now, as we'll get to with the Kaminari statement later in this episode. But if that's not the crux, like if he's trying, so if he's doing his best, I feel like I need to do something too. Phew. That shit hit, man. Hit. And then another small cameo that I really like that they included, even though unless you know or remember the episode, it doesn't really probably have as much weight on the narrative of what we're seeing here. But you just see this shot of this kid with like yellow bowl cut-ish kind of hair, and he's wide-eyed watching the television, Deku fighting Shigaraki, and he has this little flashback, and you remember him as the kid from when Deku was trying to come back to the UA strongholds just to rest while he was out there doing his fucking evil, I gotta be by myself shit solo mission. I don't want to say evil, but he was out there holding his own and he just needed a place to stay. And the kid, he's the one who questioned him. He's like, if you come back here to rest, is everything going to go back to the way it was, aka shit? And now he just is eating his words because Deku's the only chance that these dudes got. And what if he was wrong by being a dick to Deku? Anyway, I still have, I just flipped a page on my notes. That's one full page of notes. And we're probably like 25 minutes in. So that's pretty wild. Rayshawn called me, so I do have to call him back soon, but I still have another full fucking page of notes. Holy free holies. Let's take a break. All right, we're back. So we're going to keep the cameo train a rolling. With my next favorite cameo, I think over Eri and Kota, although this one got me pretty good too. I also like this break with the cameos because it shows you all the other bad shit that's happening around the peripheries or peripherals. What's the difference in those two words? Either way, it shows you the other bad stuff going on around the battle that we're seeing. And let's check in with some of your favorite characters. Kaminari and Momo Yaoyorozu. They're not my favorite characters, but I do love them. And they have this like real weak defeated moment. They meaning Kaminari. And I wrote down this quote too because it hit, dude. It hit kind of hard. And I'm not sure why it hit me so hard, if I'm being real. Maybe when I read it to you right now, maybe I'll be able to make sense of it. But he's asking Momo, like, do you know, like in a comic book, when, you know, they have the have faith moment and guys like me and running Red Riot, Kirishima, that's his name. When we have to say things like that because we're resigned to it being out of our hands and the big time hero is going to come through in the last moment and, you know, all we have to do is have faith. Momo's like, nah, that sounds gay. What are you reading? He's like, boy comic books. She's like, that's why. But he says this quote, and I'll just read it and then we'll see how I feel. He's probably the world's strongest right now. So why is it? I can't bring myself to think everything's okay now as I would with All Might. Does the fact that I'm worried mean I don't have confidence in him? You always want to have your friends back. You always want to have confidence in them and hope that they're going to, you know, succeed and win and do the right thing, right? Everybody can relate to that. Have you ever had to relate to it on a world-ending scale? Probably not. To see his inner conflict and these tears just streaming down his face, dude, and the tone of his voice, the emotions that are coming through in that voice actor's voice as he says those lines, holy free holies did I love. It hit so hard. It hit so hard. Like, he's rightfully afraid and scared of what's about to happen. He knows that his boy is the most likely person to be able to stop it. And why wouldn't he have faith in his boy, IZUKU Midoriya? But at the same time, he's like, shit, man, this is scary. This is world ending. I don't know if he's got it. And not only is he wrestling with that doubt, but he's wrestling with the doubt within himself of how can I feel that way? Am I doubting my boy? Do I not have confidence in him? And, you know, I don't really have any firm takeaways one way or the other, which I think also lends some weight to that quote. You don't know if he's right or wrong to not have confidence. And I think that's an interesting mindset to introduce into one of the characters that we spent a bunch of time with throughout this series and is definitely a fan favorite. What's his name? Charge Bolt. He's always fucking dazed and confused after any time he uses his power. People love Kaminari, but I feel like his frame of mind here is, it feels real. I mean, you know, the circumstances are very unrealistic, obviously, but, you know, you want to trust somebody, you want to believe they have it, and it's like, shit, I don't think they have it. And am I wrong for feeling like they don't think that I don't think that they have it? All right, who else we checking in with? I also ditched the summary, huh? A worried Eri, blah, blah, blah. As UA is being evacuated, Momo and Kaminari watch the battle on the phone, worrying about him. See, this is why I fucking took really good notes this week, because that's all you got to say about that. You're not going to tell me about how he cried and asked a really good question, like his fucking crisis of confidence. These motherfuckers, you know. We also saw Monoma get carted off the fields. He's in really bad shape. And then we also see Chaco getting airlifted. She is critically injured, in bad shape. And as we see her being airlifted, you just see a shot of Hawks, who I'm not sure if I thought he died or not. I don't think I thought he died, but damn, dude, how ain't you dead? He's in rough shape. We also do check in with Lady Nagant and Rocklock, and they have an exchange that is literally what this entire episode or this entire strategy to fight Shigaraki is now about. And Lady Nagant maybe is not patient zero, because I'm sure Deku Midoriya has done this to a bunch of different villains that he's faced, but in her instance, he was the first one that she was the first one that he was really able to sway to the other side and like get her to want to try to do better. And I don't even remember those. It's like a 2 or 3 episode arc at the most when he's fighting her, when he's on his Dark Deku arc. I don't even remember him that well. I want to say it's early season 6. Could be wrong. It's been a while. But she just talks about how annoying it is because he just wrenches your heart open and just, wants the better parts to come out of you or whatever. And like Deku and his, gang of fucking former holders of All for One, or One for All, excuse me. That's literally the game plan. They just wrenched dude's psyche wide open and just smashed themselves in there and said, hey, we're here. We're about to fuck you up from the inside, which, to this point has been kind of doing well. Rocklock also adds that he saps their will to fight, which I think is ultimately maybe going to be the thing that gets Tenko, Shimura, Shigaraki to maybe stop the fight, is if, Deku can help him resolve the stuff that sent him off down this dark path when he was a kid in the first place. That will effectively sap his will to fight. So Deku finally breaks through Shigaraki's fingers, finding himself in front of the Shimura family home, with only Nana Shimura as the only vestige left. So everyone got transferred over to Shigaraki's consciousness except Nana Shimura. She was rejected for whatever reason. Let's see. After seeing warnings and visions of Shigaraki's past adversaries, yeah. Dude, I took so much from this, I don't know, last 5 minutes that it's like literally 2/3 of a page of notes. I don't know why I fuck with these Wikipedias. All right, so now that we've broken into his consciousness to the point that we're located in front of his family home, Deku has been I forget how they say it. It's like, because you're part of One for All, you too and your mind can have a physical form here. So he has a corporeal form here. It's not like watching the memories from like a playback machine. He is actively in the memory. And because of that, there are consequences. That's illustrated when he is standing too close to the road and a truck almost hits him and snipes his backpack a little bit. But also he is now the little kid Deku of seasons 1, 2, 3. I'd probably say like season 2, 3. I was trying to figure out why this version of Deku is the version of Deku that presents in his memory. And I do wonder if it has something to do like when Shimura first met Deku at the mall. It's probably like midway through season 2. They have this back and forth at the mall where Deku is essentially a hostage on the bench of like a food court. And it's scary. And that's probably what Deku was looking like around that point in time in terms of age. I'm not sure if that's what he wore to the mall that day, but for all intents and purposes, I think that may have been the first time they came into contact, and Deku kind of got a read on the dude and was like, he's just a poor, scared little boy with itchy skin and hands on his face. But now that we have got to this point in his flashbacks, there is a flashback of Tenko's dad. When Deku first does the punch, they all go except Nana Shimura. So there is a quick flash of Tenko's dad there, which, by the way, his name is Kotaro. I hopefully won't forget that, but I have it written down somewhere. We do have a memory of Nana Shimura from her perspective. Okay, so she like starts to wonder why basically she was rejected. And there is a little shot of Shigaraki saying, "Don't worry, Grandma, I hate you too," which is a memory as well. And then there is a shot of his dad, little Kotaro, crying and running as his mom leaves. And she realizes that the reason it was probably a problem for her to also be absorbed into Shigaraki's consciousness is because of his understanding and his issue with her. So she's like, well, she equates it to like, all right, my past weaknesses is the reason that, and basically by that, she means her inability to be a mother and still, do her obligation to fight All for One. Because of that weakness, this is the thing that's come back to haunt her and the thing that's not letting her do what she needs to do. So yeah, I kind of skipped over that part mainly because this Wikipedia entry sucks dicks. But Deku finally does plunge into this corporeal memory. Before he's able to enter the house, you hear a voice, and you're not sure who owns the voice, but at first it says, "So you find out, and then what?" And Deku looks up, and it is like this static shadow, lightning, weird version of him that's talking to him. And Deku clocks it, and he's like, "Oh, this is how Shigaraki must see me now, as this evil monster, black shadow, fucking void of a thing." And he prefers, presumably, to, have me here in this more welcoming, maybe is the way to say it, this more welcoming appearance with him in his schoolboy outfit from 5-6 seasons ago. So when he decides that he's going to go into the house, this shadow version goes to stop him. And as it does, it drops out of the sky as Hero Killer Stain. And then Stain transforms into Redestro. And then Redestro changes into Overhaul. I wrote down all three of their quotes. It starts with Stain, which basically says, "That's why it turns out this way." Almost as if to say, what you're about to see is why this has all turned out this way. And then Redestro, what burden do you bear? What will you make? I feel like that's Shigaraki delivering a message to Deku to be like, "I'm trying to restart the world here. What are you trying to do? Save an old, shitty, broken one?" And then Overhaul, lastly, do you have a plan? Now, all of those things, I would say, relate to the individual villains that say them, even though this is just Shigaraki using their appearances to fuck with Deku, right? That's why it turns out this way. Hero Killer Stain obviously had a vested interest in making sure heroes were better or whatever, and that's why he hunted down and killed so many false ones. Redestro, he's just trying to restart his People Liberation Army or Quirk Liberation Army. I forget what he was called. That was his plan. That was his great burden. That was he was going to make. And then Overhaul, I think one of my favorite things about the Overhaul season is how detailed a plan that invasion on the Stronghold is. And it just reminds me of that and him being the one to ask Deku, "What's your plan?" And Deku's like, "Nope, don't got a fucking plan. Get out of my way. Watch this." So finally he enters the home, and the first thing that he sees is a picture of Nana Shimura with their little baby Kotaro. I should pick a fucking pronunciation. And you hear the voiceover of little Tenko and his sister, whose name escapes me right now, but the sister saying, "This is a secret. Don't tell Dad that but supposedly this lady's our grandma." And I don't know if Nana Shimura knew this. I don't think she did. I'm assuming Deku didn't know. But it is, like I said earlier in the episode, it is a very good, effective device to be able to get everybody on the same page right away so everybody understands the emotional stakes. If they didn't know this before, now they know it, and now they relate to Shigaraki's downfall just a little bit more. They probably sympathize with it much more, given that it's his grandma and, Deku, who fucking loves and cares and cries about everybody like a baby. So yeah, Nana's secret is revealed. But then she sees a flashback of Tenko in the backyard with his dad, and his dad slaps the shit out of him. Just fucking whoosh. And Nana is horrified that her son, Kotaro, the sweet little boy who she abandoned when he was like 4 or 5 years old, grew up to be an abusive dad. Now, I know that she was, deemed worthy, like a successor for a One for All. And like that obviously comes with, she must have had a great resume. She must have been a pretty swell, smart, strong lady. Did I say smart? I didn't mean to. Because how could you not think that abandoning your child would not emotionally wreck them? Like, what do you think was going to happen? He was going to grow up and be the world's coolest dude, going to be a philanthropist, a full-on rapist, I just don't understand how I don't know. How could you be surprised that that's how things turned out? Either way, she is horrified. So, did I finish the thing? After seeing warnings and visions of Shigaraki's past adversaries, yeah, that was cool. Deku finally breaks into the home. Oh, I guess I didn't think about that, huh? Redestro, Overhaul, and Stain were all kind of Shigaraki's adversaries as well as Deku's. That's pretty interesting, huh? Shit, dog. I don't think I've ever really thought about it like that. Anyway, just throw that layer on top as well. Deku finally breaks into the home, only for him and Nana to witness Tenko being abused by his father. Seeing this, Nana is horrified. And right before the episode cuts, you see that little Tenko Shimura on the ground, but he has very much that same aesthetic as the evil Deku at the beginning of this scene. It's just a black void. So I do sort of wonder if, well, they're not going to get to a younger part of Tenko to deal with, right? Like, this is the origin of his trauma. This is his origin story. I do wonder, like, what's Deku going to do now? Because he's like there. You know, he has a corporeal body. He could probably walk right up to Tenko's dad and smack him in the mouth right now. Say, listen, Kotaro, you're about to fuck up the whole world smacking your boy around in the backyard like this. I know that sounds a lot like really dramatic, but I'm being serious. You don't even know. I'm here from the future. I'm here to stop you, dumbass, and punch him in the dick. Probably won't happen like that, but when the fuck is Deku going to do? I heard a report today. I don't know how true this is, but this is only half a season. It's not getting the full 22, 23, 24 episode run that My Hero Academia seasons have had in the past. Well, except the first season, I think, is 12. That might have been a short season. Either way, this is going to be like an 11, 12 episode season. And we are already halfway through it here. I think today was episode number 6 of the season, 6 of 11 or 12. That's the other thing. We're not even sure if it's 11 or 12. Wild. But my point is, we're coming up on it. They expect this to be wrapped by the end of the year, like by the holidays. What's Deku going to do? He going to sit down and give little baby Tenko some therapy and be like, sorry your dad hit you, man. That's bad. Don't grow up to be a villain, though. Don't you fucking dare, because I'm going to be there, ready to whoop your ass. And, you know, building on that, maybe that's the route Deku has to go, because he just gave away the majority of his fucking quirks here. What's going to happen? He's going to be back to, he's going to give away, he gave away All for One. The Nana Shimura quirk is the only one that he has left, right? And I'm not even sure what the fuck her quirk is. Is it flying? Be cool if it was. But my point is, if he's throwing away all these quirks to be able to get into this dude's psyche, he's not going to have anything left to fight with. So now he's going to have to fight with his words and his emotional intelligence, maybe. And that's a stressful place to be, man. But that's pretty much the end of 165. That was so much goddamn talking, and I swear I'm still not done. I will say, the preview next week, it does seem like we're going to have some Shoto Aizawa mixed into the story, and we're probably going to have to relive the dead dog incident, which Victor, you know, shield the boy's eyes, because he doesn't deserve to relive that a second time. Again, I'm going to try to remember to link that in the show notes for this episode. If you do want to go back and listen to some of these old episodes we did, I do remember the Tenko Shimura origin episode being a tough one with that dog one. But preview, I'm excited. Also, I did this on a watch along for Patreon a couple weeks ago. I did the live reacts to both opening and closing songs. And just to kind of follow up on that, because I didn't make too many comments on it. Opening song? Nah, I'm good. It's probably one of the weaker songs that they've done for an opening song. Closing song, though. It is growing on me. Made by a band called Bump of Chicken. I don't really know any other tunes this band does, but this one's a pretty good one. I'll tell you, I did this for the patrons. I let them know that I tried to record this yesterday and it did not go well. It was just a lot of 30 minutes of me just rambling about shit, very unfocused. Felt much more focused today, so that's the good news for both me and you. But I went to a show over the weekend with my dad. Now, I did not know who this artist was, but it's a friend of his that he met doing like TikTok duets online like 5-6 years ago during COVID or some shit like that. And it's this girl, her name is Nep, N-E-P. think her real name's Nikki, but she goes by Nep as her performance name and her band name. And he did this little acoustic tune and he played trumpet on it. And it blew up for her a little bit, like a few million downloads on Spotify or whatever. And, you know, that, like I said, that was like 5-6 years ago. This girl's just like, you know, 18, 19 years old, fucking around, making music in her room. Flash forward 5 years. And she just did an amazing performance with her band at Berklee College of Music, this little like private performance venue they have there called the Red Room or some shit. And because we're like an hour south of Boston, she invited my dad up and she was like, hey, you know, do you want to come up here and play Rocket Ship? We're going to be in town. So he didn't want to go by himself. So he's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, all right, dude, word, let's roll. So I didn't know what the fuck to expect. And I'm going to be real with you guys. And even if my dad hears this, that Rocket Ship song's cool. Like, it's all right. That's really all I've ever thought about it. It's cool. My dad, you know, has been listened to by like a few million people with that girl, you know, doing her acoustic bit underneath it. But it was, you know, I didn't really know what to expect going to this show. And I just have to say, I have never been so won over by a band and their songwriting and their performance with like almost zero real knowledge about them as I did with this show the other day. Every song that they played was such a fucking banger. Like a 4-piece band, drums, acoustic, guitar for her, electric guitar and bass, but like she's only playing acoustic on like half the songs. They just released a new album last week or 2 weeks ago. And it was like a sold out crowd. Granted, it's a small room, but there was like 250 people in there. And they knew every single word to every single song on that new album that just came out a couple of weeks ago. Now, the demographic for this band, mind you, Nep is 23. Her demographic is like teenage girls in college, lots of lesbians, lesbians from all age ranges, not just college age lesbians. But I was the oldest, straightest white dude there, even more straight and older and whiter than my dad. And I just was really caught up in how good these tunes were. So I do want to just shout out my dad. He did an amazing job in his performance. He was very afraid, not afraid, maybe that's not the right word, but he was like kind of scared to get up there and do it, especially as the room continued to fill up. But he got up there and he did it and he came off stage. I'm like, dude, fucking kick-ass job, man. How do you feel? He's like, Jesus fucking Christ, that was scary. And I'm really proud of him. And he did a great job and everyone loved that he was there. Like, you know, it wasn't a very private room. So when he went to go get his trumpet backstage, a bunch of girls in the front row noticed that there was a guy with a trumpet coming out. And they all just start hitting each other on the shoulder and whispering, oh, Rocket Ship, dude, they're going to play Rocket Ship. There's a trumpet here. They're going to play Rocket Ship. And it was the one and only time that we met them in public or met them at all. You know, my dad's been doing stuff with her online for the last however long, a couple songs here and there, but it was cool to have them meet. It was cool to see him have that moment. It was cool to see so many people get so excited and be so receptive to it. So I just wanted to take the last few minutes to talk about music, both Bump of Chicken and Nep and her new album, or their new album, because they are a band. I believe it's called Girls on TV. I'll put a Spotify link in the description if you want to check it out. I believe it's called Girls on TV, though. All right, so that's it for Super Dope. I have to go call Ray Sean back. Oh, we'll see if he answers. I'm sure because I didn't answer when he called me 40 minutes ago, he won't answer when I call him now, and we'll just play phone tag for the next day. Good times. All right. Well, thanks for listening. I appreciate you. If you like the show, like whatever, I don't know where you're watching or listening. I don't care. Just, you know, like it. Just hit the like button. And tell your other cool friends, but don't tell your shitty friends because I don't want to fucking deal with them. All right. All right. Super dope. Don't talk to your fucking friends about me.